Hi everyone! I just learned that today is the MPN Awareness Day, and MPN stands for myeloproliferative neoplasms, which one day I will learn to pronounce correctly and quickly. And that is the group of cancers that myelofibrosis is within, and that's the one that I have. So if you want to learn more about my little journey, at least the start of it, you can look at my other video that I posted I think a year ago, maybe exactly a year ago. Maybe I knew that it was MPN Awareness Day. I don't actually know. Anyway, point is we are here today, and I thought it would be good to post a video with a bit of an update, as well as some advice for people who are either just getting diagnosed with these annoying cancers or have family members who have been. And big disclaimer, I am not a doctor. Anything I say is just my opinion based on my research, and that's it. So please always do your own thinking, talk to your doctor. Don't take any internet advice, including mine, because we're all different people and we just, be smart. Don't listen to internet people. But with that said, I posted my original, I have bone marrow blood cancer thing video about, a year ago. I have to check the date, but I'm pretty sure it was almost exactly to the date a year ago. And I have gotten so many amazing responses from people over the past year. And I say amazing, not in terms of great, more people are getting diagnosed and they're commiserating. No, I mean people who felt a bit more seen, I think, and people who felt maybe a bit in despair because a loved one was diagnosed with one of these things, and because, I mean, this is a rare cancer, right? There's not like 5 of us, but it's not, myeloproliferative neoplasms are not exactly a common phrase that you hear. So when family members get diagnosed, it's not like there's a wealth of knowledge and a lot of videos you can watch from experts, etc., that can reassure you. So I get it. Like I get that people liked my video, and I'm really happy about that. Like it's great, because I know what it's like to feel like you're alone. I know what it's like to feel not seen or feel unimportant, or I don't know, just feel shitty. Like I've been there many times, not just with this thing, but just, with life. So I'm super glad if my previous videos or this one or any future ones I will get my act together and make, if they make a difference to you or to a loved one, that's awesome. Yay. But I'm not a doctor. So do not take my words as gospel. But yeah, here we are. So I'll do a quick update on me, and then I want to share some advice that I have been asked by quite a few people one-on-one after they've seen my videos. So I thought might as well share it with everybody. It's wisdom, because I'm 44 now, so I am wise. Although 40, never mind. I was going to go into a whole thing that in Chinese culture, the 4s aren't exactly a good omen, but whatever. I'm still here. I'm healthy-ish. I'm still here. Okay, so me, Magda. Oh, hello. And Sorcha's here. My lady cat. Oh, and she's gone. I am okay. My blood work has been actually excellent. So for now, we're not doing anything. And today I'm feeling great. Some days I feel super tired and I get random pain in my pelvis, which I don't know if it's actually from this, but I think it is. It kind of would make sense, right? Because your pelvis is where most of the bone marrow gets made. And if my bone marrow is messed up, then you would think that's where I would have pain, but I don't know. Long story short, in general, I am good. Where things get bad is something I did not expect to be such a thing. It's really gnarly night sweats. I don't get them with any predictability, so that's annoying. And no, it's not menopause, I promise. I am 44, so I am in the age bracket where I could be getting into that. But no, we tested all my hormones and things, and I'm still alive and kicking in the areas. Anyway, yeah, the night sweats are, when they happen, they are terrible. Both in terms of, like, my bed just looks like it's been soaked. And that also means that I get dehydrated, which makes, you know, everything feel shitty. But I'm just so incredibly tired the next day. It's just hard to function. So thankfully, that's my worst symptom for now, knock on wood and whatnot. And it's manageable, but it definitely is annoying. So it makes it hard to, you know, have a complete schedule of things. Like right now, like I'm not working a 9 to 5 like I have been my entire life. So, you know, it is an adjustment, it's a change, but yeah, on the grand scheme of things, like I'll take the night sweats any day. And my other symptom is belly pain, which is what got me to get a diagnosis in the first place. And that also comes and goes. And just it is what it is. And the main reason that that happens is because my spleen is enlarged. If you remember, that was kind of a common thread of things I looked at in my various scans and things. It was like, my spleen's still big, like, is that normal? It's not. So yeah, it got bigger by 2 centimeters in the past year. So it's right now at, well, in June, I had my last scan. So it was like 18 point something centimeters. So still not in the range where it's considered, oh my God, we gotta drug you with stuff, thank God. But it's annoying. And in case you're wondering why the spleen size matters, basically the spleen takes over, and that's Sailor hopping around. The spleen takes over production of blood cells when the bone marrow is not keeping up, which is what happens when you have myelofibrosis and the other myeloproliferative neoplasms. So as it's getting overworked, it basically swells because it's like, oh my God, I had to do so much work. And that's not good. So the spleen is supposed to be, again, not a doctor. I want to say it's under 12 centimeters is when it's considered normal size. Anything over that is considered enlarged. And anything over 20 centimeters is considered, we should do some treatment. The reason why I'm like, yay, I am not in that range yet, but it is climbing, is because with these fun little MPNs, the treatments, yes, there are some drugs that you can take to help out the spleen and get that sucker shrunk, other than removing it completely, which, you know, it's possible, like you can survive with no spleen, but it's still not something you want to do. Like, organs are there for a reason, so let's keep them as long as we can, as long as they're functioning. Full stop. But yeah, so I should do another post on the various kinds of drugs that are available for this class of cancers. But the long story short is that they have a lot of side effects. And for me personally, that's the equation that I'm going to have to weigh when my spleen gets to the size where it should probably be treated. And again, based on what my doctors have said, the side effect, the one I worry about, is lowered immunity. And I've already been, you know, throughout the whole COVID thing, and since then, I've been pretty religious with wearing a mask in areas and times when even in the summer, right? When I'm like in a closed room when I go to estate sales, because I love estate sales. If there's a lot of people, like, I always put on a mask. And I just probably put it on all the time. Anyway, I'm going to improve that. Rewind, Magda. Do brzegu, do brzegu. So, if your immunity is lowered, mask wearing isn't probably gonna cut it as much. Again, it depends on the person, depends on your individual response of your body to the drugs. But if you can avoid lowering your immunity and being more susceptible to all the bugs that are in the world, that's kind of something I want to do. So let's hope that my spleen stays where it is or shrinks magically. Maybe wine helps. I don't know. I mean, of course it helps. I don't know if it helps with spleen, but it helps with, you know, like, come on, wine. Anyway, so that's me. Belly pain, gnarly night sweats, super random, don't know when it's gonna happen. And on days when it does, I'm either like, ugh, oh my God, it hurts. Or I'm like, what's happening? I'm too exhausted because I didn't sleep all night because I was sweating everything out. All things considered, I'm good. No transplant talk yet. So now to the thing that's actually useful to people who are looking for this video because they have a loved one or they themselves have a myeloproliferative neoplasm, which, by the way, includes polycythemia vera, myelofibrosis, which is what I have, essential thrombocytopenia, and chronic myeloid leukemia. Blood cancers that affect the bone marrow. Let's just leave it there. Hey, Sorsha. I don't know much about the other three because I have focused my specific research and understanding on myelofibrosis. What I do know is that the polycythemia vera and the ET can advance into myelofibrosis, and that you want to avoid that because then you have two different blood disorders, and that's not cool. One is already crappy enough. You know, a friend of mine, acquaintance, I'll call him a friend because aren't we all friends? Anyway, a person that I knew in a past life told me, for example, that he had a heart attack, like when he was, I don't lie to you, but I want to say 30, like early 30s. It's kind of crazy. He has ET. So yeah, I guess all of these MPNs are shitty and they're just differently shitty. So if you get diagnosed, it sounds scary. I did the thing that I'm going to tell you not to do and you're going to do anyway, which is Google. And that's when the emotional problems start, because I mean it's not a cold, right? Like it's a blood cancer, and depending on when it was discovered, yes, it actually could be a death sentence. I can't speak to that, thankfully, but that's the reality, right? So I personally don't have a couple of years to live, but it's possible that your loved one does, and I'm really, really sorry if that's the case. But the internet and influencers and WebMD that's not what's gonna help you or your loved ones. So first and foremost, first piece of advice that I have to anyone who's affected by this stuff, by the MPNs, is talk to your doctor. Usually you get diagnosed because you were referred to hematologists. A lot of hematologists are in the oncology department, so they already deal with different kinds of cancers. And again, depending on what your journey was, you may already have an MPN specialist. If you don't, look for one, get a referral for one, do what you need to do, because information is power. And it can help you understand what is happening, and it can help you plan what is the best course for you. And no one can do that except you and your doctor. So biggest piece of advice is please, please, please talk to your doctor. Ask questions. No such thing as stupid questions. No such thing as embarrassing questions. This is your life. Literally, Don't be embarrassed. I always write my questions down, and I pull out a piece of paper or I pull out my phone in my appointment, and I don't rush through them. And if I think everything's gotten covered and I see a doctor is like, okay, see you next time, I kind of always go, wait, hold on, can you just give me a second? I just want to double check I have all my questions answered. That's your time. You're paying for it directly or through insurance. It doesn't matter. You're paying for that time, and this is your care provider. And yes, they have other patients, but if you have prepared ahead of time with your questions, then you are respecting the doctor's time, and you are respecting your own time and the time of the other patients who are coming after you. So don't feel bad. Ask your questions, talk to your doctor. That's my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice is just take a step back, and this is the hardest one, right? Focus on things you can control, and at least move towards accepting the things you can't, because cancer, whether it's this one or any other kind, it's not a choice you made, right? You didn't do something stupid that all of a sudden caused your body to mutate and make extra cells or wrong kinds of cells or whatever. It fucking happens. It sucks. But it is what it is. And your doctor and your support team, that's who's there to help you either get through it or get treatment, or, like in my case, watch and wait and manage the symptoms when they get to the point where it's affecting my life too much. And I just need to suck it up, unfortunately, and be immunocompromised, but shrink my spleen. These are choices you're going to have to make for yourself. But when that time comes, those are the decisions that you can control. What you can't control is the fact that it happened. You can't control that your body just feels shitty sometimes. You can't control that some people are gonna, have a particular reaction to your news. Like there's just a lot of things you can't control. Maybe write it down, whatever works for you. But I think it really helps when you realize that some things just are. You're not giving up by admitting that you can't control them. What you're doing is just not being, a crazy person who is trying to change things that they literally cannot change. So I promise you will feel a lot lighter and a lot more focused on the good things that are in your life and the things that you possibly can affect once you kind of make that line in the sand and separate what you can control versus what you can't control. So that's my second piece of advice. My third piece of advice, I don't know if there's more, so maybe the last one, but that is to just be aware of your symptoms and be aware of what you're okay with in terms of your symptoms and manage them. If it's possible for you to manage them and you're at the point where you feel that that will be beneficial to you, do it. Again, I don't know about the other MPNs because I haven't experienced them, and knock on wood, I will not. But my myelofibrosis is already crappy enough. That's the one I know about. For me, the symptoms are belly pain from a large spleen and gnarly night sweats, which make me exhausted for days at a time after they happen. Both of those are manageable for me for now in terms of I know what the treatment is, I know what its effects are, and right now, my life outweighs those side effects. So right now, it does not make sense for me to take any treatments. And with science advancing so quickly, there's a chance that I won't have to experience these side effects because new medicines will come out, new treatments. I don't know. Not a scientist. But for you, that could be different. And you have potentially one of the other MPNs. And I don't know anything about that day-to-day stuff. I know that some people take blood thinners to manage that. I know that there's different ways to manage the various blood counts that affect the various MPNs. So back to my first tip, talk to your doctor. And understand what are the things you, second tip, can control and can't control, so that, third tip, you can manage your symptoms in a way that makes sense for you and the way that you're comfortable with, that is supporting your lifestyle. So do that, okay? And last tip, I think, fourth. I know you're gonna Google stuff. My sister technically banned me from WebMD many years ago, before I had blood cancer, because I was one of those people who was like, oh, I think I've got flesh-eating bacteria and a brain tumor, because basically everything points to those things, which I don't have. And I never freaked out, but like, I'm a Googler. I love a bit of knowledge download. Don't be like me. When you do search for things in terms of your or your loved ones' MPNs or other cancers or whatever other things that they are going through that you're trying to understand and potentially help, stick to reputable sources. News media, doesn't matter if they're left or right or up or down. That's not a source that you look at, because the job of news media is to communicate things that are happening in the world in a way that catches your attention and gets you to register at least the headline, maybe the first paragraph. If you're really, really, really an avid reader, then maybe the rest of the article. But that's it, okay? It's factual, but it's for attention. So try to filter out news media. Focus on reputable research organizations. My go-to is NIH, the National Institutes of Health, because it's like just scientific papers and abstracts and things, and sometimes kind of hard to read, but it's information and it's knowledge. It's not attention and headlines and sensationalism, okay? WebMD is also like, it's actually a really, really cool resource, and I'm glad that it exists in the world, but it's not your doctor. So don't pretend that it is. And people's opinions, my opinions, anybody else's opinions, they're opinions. You have your own body, you have your own disease, you have your own set of circumstances, okay? Focus on information, don't focus on opinion. Focus on like the boring stuff. Every research paper, by the way, has an abstract, okay? So you can always just read the summary, and those are not sensationalized to grab your attention. No, they are there to summarize the findings of peer-reviewed research, okay? So NIH, I think, is great. And by the way, I will add links to the description, that was called, whatever, of this video, so that if you want to look up the sources that I look at, you're more than welcome to. But in general, they will have .edu or .gov or .org, not always. They'll have .gov or .edu suffix ending to the URL, the web address. But even then, like, not all .edus are created equal, not all .govs. But the ones in the UK and the US are pretty good. So anyway, I will put the links in there. Other than NIH, I also do like checking out Mayo Clinic and Cleveland Clinic web pages, informational pages, I guess, because I find that they're catering to people like you and me, you know, not scientists, not doctors. So they're just easier to read and easier to follow, and they are structured in a way that helps you navigate better. But the flip side of that is that it can be quite scary, right? So if you look up MPNs, you'll find a list of the different ones, and then you'll look at treatments, and they will mention scary drugs, and they'll mention transplants and other things, which is information, but depending on what state of mind you are consuming it, it might be daunting at least, but kind of, I don't know, it could be terrifying. So just be careful. And I would start with like the science ones. NIH is great. So that was 4. And 5, wow, okay, so I thought 3rd was last, I thought 4th was last. No, it's 5. Okay, cool. So my 5th tip for people who just don't like sitting around and they want to feel more proactive, you can look at clinical trials. Science is so cool, and so much research is happening that honestly, like, you never know what will be down the pipeline. Maybe 3 months from now, maybe 3 years, maybe it's gonna be a decade, who knows? But point is that if you want to feel at least like you're being a bit more proactive for yourself or for your loved ones, just, you know, do a bit of a poke around clinical trials. I think it's clinicaltrials.gov. Again, I'll put the link in the description. But it's an aggregator of the research that is happening all over the world into various diseases, and you can filter by the disease type, the stage you're at, the other kind of health information about yourself to see what trials you possibly could qualify for. And if you do, you can many times apply directly to the people who are holding the trial. But back to my first point on talking to your doctor, they, especially the MPN specialists, they'll know about cool stuff that's happening that may benefit you. Another cat. I'm a cat lady. Loud and proud. Miles. Yeah, talk to your doctor. Do some research on clinical trials, and you never know. And you know, back to previous tip on information, if there's nothing, like, don't despair. It's just information. It's just a lot of research that happens is incidental. I was just reading about, oh gosh, I forget what it's called now, but it's a type of facial filler. So, you know, facial fillers have existed for a while, and you can, dermatologists, plastic surgeons, etc., inject them to, you know, augment how you look and to replace volume loss. You know, the girls with their giant lips. So fillers have existed for a long time, but there's a new kind of cosmetic filler, for example, that was developed in the 90s to help AIDS patients and HIV patients with volume loss that happens as a disease progresses. And the way that it works, again, not a scientist, the way that it works is that they, the active thing is suspended in a water solution. So when they inject it, it visibly right away fills in volume, but then the stuff that's inside them stimulates your body to grow new collagen, which then over time reduces the appearance of, you know, hollow under eyes, things like that. So it was developed for AIDS patients who had, you know, very like sunken look. And now it's being used for cosmetic reasons. So my point is that even if you go into the trials research and you don't see anything that has to do with you, you never know what another research project may find that will apply to MPNs. And frankly, it's kind of what I'm hoping will happen, because there isn't much research into my kind of mutation. But again, knock on wood, I'm just gonna focus on managing the symptoms that I do have and focusing on things I can control and doing my blood work regularly as advised by my doctor, and focusing on things that I can control, because there's enough of life to not worry about the things that I can't do anything about. So that's me. If you have any questions, please post them or find me on Instagram. I check that more often. Magda Makes It is my username on Instagram. I would love to connect and say hello and give you virtual hugs. But remember, I said it like 10 times already, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, and neither is Sorsha. Neither are other people who are possibly posting videos and other stuff on social media. So listen to your doctors, listen to your body, and we'll get through it. I mean, fuck, like life, man, right? Might as well keep smiling and focusing on things we can control, because there's enough out there that we can't. So anyway, sending hugs, kisses. One more cat. I have 4. Told you, I'm a freaking certifiable cat lady. Hi, Pixel. He's wearing a tuxedo. See, he's dressing up for you guys. All right, bye.